Hey, I know you don't smoke weed. I know this. But I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday.
Yes.
You ain't got no job.
Yes.
And you ain't got shit to do.
There you go, man. Turn me up in the headphones. Turn me up in the headphones, Guru, turn me up. Lil Wayne lighter flick. Hold on.
And we're back.
Y'all hear that? I don't know how to work this shit.
Nah, yeah.
What's happening?
It's your boy, Abby Joe.
It's your boy Just Kingin'.
And we are Hot Takes and Half Truth.
Where the agreeable go to disagree.
Yes.
Let's get it, man.
Yes, sir. Volume 34. Another beautiful day in West Palm Beach. Supposed to get ugly this afternoon, but
Yeah, it's been on and off with the thunderstorms this week, but it is what it
I'm
is.
just hoping that storm stays away, man. Like, I don't want to go on storm duty.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, I don't really. I guess I don't have a dog in the race. I don't give a shit. I don't want to put shutters up. Is my excuse.
Yes.
A little more selfish.
Man, I every time I think about that shit, bro, I think about how them fucking mosquitoes were kicking my ass the little time I was out there with you, man. I can't hold all my little. I guess I was being cute that day. Had my ankles out, and my shit was done.
Yeah, something. Yeah, everybody that be laughing at me when my wife posts little videos on the story of me doing yard work in jeans. Ha ha. That's why. That's why right there. Jeans and a long sleeve shirt. I ain't stupid.
Yeah, that shit.
See how them boys be cutting the grass outside. I take note. Ain't getting me.
Already, bro. So shit, you was off this week, man. How was the week?
It was chill, man. Thunderstorms almost every fucking day. So I was just hanging out. It was
I
thunderstorms.
guess so in the morning, cause
No, it was on and off in Boynton.
I got okay, maybe.
Yes.
It was on and off, boy, because it was I mean, I haven't cut the yard since.
Cause I got on the bike the last 3 days, but it was always in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, we got caught in the storm yesterday at the beach.
Okay.
I'm sitting there watching the clouds, and I'm like, yeah, we should probably pack it up. Wife like, nah, I think it's gonna miss us. And I'm like, all right. And a minute later, I feel the rain coming. And I'm like, we should probably get in this tent. I got like a little beach tent. So me, her, the dog, the baby, hop in the tent. Fucking out of nowhere. You know how it is, the Florida showers.
Well, y'all went to Juneau?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we took the dog.
Yeah, when you took the dog, I was like, is there anywhere else you can go with the dog down here?
We go to them private ones, but nah. Baby first time at the beach, man. So, took the fam out there and just the dog enjoyed himself about more than anybody. There's another little dog out there running around, chasing them around. So, everybody enjoyed themselves. So it was a good time.
Paulo got to be mannish out there, huh?
Yeah, he was out there trying to get him a little trim,
Yes.
The owners didn't care, so I'm like, all right, whatever.
As long as they're having a good time, man. No one's being aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah. He had a hard time mounting her. She was a Great Dane, She got, this would be a perfect segue into the Tory Lane, Meg Thee Stallion kind of conversation. We talking size differences. That's about, the similarity that they have in stature there. Apollo, that dog was probably 100 pounds.
I don't know, man. I ain't gonna do Paulo like that, man. Paulo at least 5'10" in our world, baby.
Well, that Great Dane was 6'10". So whatever you want to do with it, it's a Great Dane, bro.
Hey, man, Tory 5'3", baby.
Yeah.
That is
my little boxer pit trying to mount a Great Dane. I mean, that's kind of the same.
That's almost
comical.
Yeah, he's almost a dwarf, man.
Well, I don't know if you've seen a Great Dane before, but they're big dogs. So.
I mean, so there are different kind of Great Danes. I mean, there's the ones that are like huge.
This wasn't even that one. This was like
there's some that's like, they big, but they're not like the ones that you see on TV.
The dog was probably 5 inches taller at the shoulder than Apollo.
Okay. I mean,
Like I said, Apollo, I mean, he ain't a small dog, A dog ain't pussy out
That's
there.
what I'm saying. Like,
he's
he's
65,
not
75 pound pit bull boxer mix. Like, my dog, he out there. But, this dog was taller and heavier and just bigger. So, it is what it is.
Hey, bro, ain't nothing wrong with climbing that tree, man.
No, ain't nothing wrong at all. unless you can't reach. So I mean, that just is what it is, man.
That may be the case.
So what's up, man? How was your week? You celebrating early, man. What you doing?
Another work week, man. It was, I guess I was a bit busy this week, but it was pretty productive. Set some stuff up for this week. It's coming up. Should be a big week. I'm excited, and I'm glad it's the weekend, man.
For sure.
With that said, drink of the week, we're gonna circle back
on that RonZacapa.
Are you proud of me, man? I didn't kill that son.
No, you didn't.
I was like, my man said, hey, it's going to be around. I was like, you know what? I'm going to.
It is what it is, man.
I'm going to go ahead and. But I will say, I've been drinking more wine of lately.
There you go. Our next guest has been cooking up his own concoctions of wine. So it's so when he comes through, I think he's going to bring, a batch for us or whatever, and I told him that he's been making reds, and I told him that you were, a connoisseur of sorts of the red wine. So
I like the reds.
Yeah, so he's gonna bring that through, and we'll see what it's hitting for. But for this week, man, we back on that RonZacapa. I'm probably saying that wrong, but forgive me.
Hey,
I enjoy this. This is the Sistema Solera, and it's got the 23 on the front.
We said, man.
Right, the 23.
We said it in the pre-production, man. Blame on the brain, not the heart, baby.
Yeah, there you go.
The heart's in the right place.
So we'll cheers to that.
Salute.
Salute. And then for the track of the week, that hot takes hot track of the week. That boy Cole dropped 2 of them.
I figured it was gonna
He hit you with a 2-piece. He hit us with a 2-piece, So and then good timing. It came out right after the Verzuz. So you got the Climb Back. So really we got a 2-piece here. The Climb Back and then Lion King on Ice. So 2 tracks by your boy J. Cole, Lewis Street EP or whatever you want to call it, Lewis Street single pack. I fucks with him.
Aren't they supposed to be on his next
Yeah, he's
the next one.
Yeah, he said they the first 2 tracks off the fall off. So we'll see.
The fall off. Yes.
Yeah,
I heard that. I was like, I forget what it's called, but it's a name for it. It's already out.
The fall off. So that's his proposed next album that's coming out. But these 2 tracks, man, I like him, man. He's I can tell he trying to get back in shape, lyrically speaking. There, he had a couple nifty little play on words that
mental exercises.
Yeah, lyrical exercises, But he definitely showcasing a little something, not too much. I like his ability to, he could sprinkle, wordplay, flows, and storytelling kind of all in one kind of touch. And then all while, I think his biggest selling point for me has always been relatability. He could speak on topics and it seems, like it's not coming from too high up, not coming from, such a perspective where it's like you had to serve some hard time to be able to relate to it. Like he has an interesting perspective of somebody that, is there and is a part of it, whether it be, like, I'm not the shooter, but, that's my man's right there, right? And I witnessed my man's do the shooting and my man's do the time, and I was standing right there with him through the whole thing. And I know his brother did some time too, yeah. So it's that's always been the selling point to me, or what why I gravitated towards him. So more of that on these 2 tracks, to say the least. So. Okay. Check that out.
More on that to come. With that said, before we get a little further into this show, we had hot takes and how truth definitely stand for justice for Breonna Taylor.
Absolutely.
So,
arrest them cops, man.
Arrest the cops. Jonathan Mattingly, Brett Hawkinson, and Miles Cosgrove, my bad. But with that said, as your boy Nipsey said, man, marathon continues. And so I don't have a hot take this week.
Rip Nip.
I don't have a hot taker of the week this week, but I definitely have a half truth for you. Do you have anything on that? Go ahead. I mean, if you got one, go ahead, jump in.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't. If Nick Cannon is the hot taker of the week, bro.
Okay, I got you.
He's the hot taker of the week, and I don't mean that to sound like I'm coming after him or whatever. I mean that in the sense that I think with all the press coverage that his situation has been getting, I think it's kind of safe to say that he kind of jumped out there a little bit, and he's even said it. He's even admitted that he might have went a little too far on some of the comments, and that his intent wasn't how it came off, And I think I can admittedly, I'll put this on me and less on him. I can say for sure that I'm ignorant of that whole of the culture as a whole, Jewish, the Jewish culture.
Okay.
Not ignorant of the plight to some degree,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
The major, you start talking like taking it back to Egyptian times with slavery, the enslavement of the Jewish people then, and then obviously the Holocaust and stuff. So I'm not ignorant on that front, but just ignorant of what is considered offensive. So I remember when this all even first happened, I listened, I heard one clip, and I guess he didn't make the statements in that clip, and I'm listening, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get.
Yeah, because some of it, I think they mentioned something to the extent that, and I have a problem with that. If we're talking about the same one, where they basically said that they have power and they, like the Jewish community has money and they have, power,
control the banks and so forth.
Yeah, and I'm like, is that false? Do they wield political power in this country?
So I think from what I've learned is that that was the platform that Hitler used.
Yeah, but
to rally support and everything for the Holocaust. So in that regard, to answer your question, and let me not be next week's hot taker. So to answer your question, from what I've researched and what I've come to understand is that blanket statement can't be applied to all of them, right? That's what was said before, and as a result, how many millions were lost their lives, right? As a result of the Holocaust genocide that followed. So they're very sensitive to any kind of blanket statements that make them seem like their culture as a whole is part of this, this high society to control the world and the world banks or whatever, right? So now if there's one or a few or whatever the perception may be, the one or the few, right? That's not them as a whole. And they were, what is the word I'm looking for? They were attacked. The word I'm looking for is missing me right now. But basically, like, the people as a whole took the repercussions of what a result of statements like that might have been targeted at a few, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So
I get it, but at the same time, I look at it from, I guess, like from a political state. Like one of the biggest blocks that every year or every 4 years people try to win is the Jewish vote, and it's because there's money there. Like, politics is a lot about policy, but it's even more about, at this particular time, raising money. And those are like one of the groups that everyone wants to get favor from.
Yeah.
And they're typically a more conservative group. I get the connotation of it, but I look at it from, there's two things. This one in particular, I look at it from a perspective, if we flipped it, and we have like our group have that, they rule the world, they kind of move things and make the world move. I'll take that as a badge of honor. Like, yeah, we, what I'm saying, and we doing well in a lot of different industries.
But you wouldn't take that if it put a target on your back. Is what I gather how they feel. And that comes from, me hearing like accounts from, folks saying that like at a very young age that their children are taught like the history of like the Holocaust and things, and they're saying like this happened because they didn't control a narrative, right? Because somebody put something out there like that, and then it's just fear mongering is all it is in essence, right? So it's like, and they basically took I don't want to say a backseat, but like a more passive approach where it's like, okay, people won't believe that, right? Because it's clearly, like, hey, I work at, and I'm this isn't meant to be stereotypical or whatever. I'm just trying to find a common job, but it's like I work at a deli, right?
Okay.
I work at a deli. No. I know. Never mind. But it's like the people that are saying this are like, I work at a deli, so I don't control anything. Like I'm a business owner. I work every day. You see me in the community every day.
So I get that.
So it's that the narrative wasn't controlled, and then you see how quickly it got out of control, and then the extent of which it went. Right. So they realize that like they have to be, they have to control their narrative. They can't allow, the world to come to their aid and to defend them. And for good reason, man, because Holocaust wasn't that long ago.
No. I mean, slavery wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. And that's not to say that two things can't be true. So that's not to deflect against, the wrongdoings of our people. And I think there was some truth in what Nick Cannon said. Yeah. I just think he went too far in that one statement. And I really think it's a matter of kind of like ignorance. Like you don't know how another group of people internalizes that statement and what it means to them.
Like I said, I'm like, that seems like a good thing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I guess in that instance, they didn't control the narrative. But
absolutely, So it as a result, it was punitive, right? The fallout of them not controlling that narrative was punitive, and it was genocide, man. You're talking the total of millions of people. So in that regard, I mean, and I list Nick because unfortunately he lost his deal with Viacom, and I can imagine he's going to be in some legal battles with them over the Wild 'N Out franchise and ownership and everything there. But
definitely,
what I will say, and in closing, is that Nick showed some qualities that I think a lot of people need to take note of. Right, is that he said what he said, right, and I'm not taking up for him there. But the fact that after he said what he said, he's willing to have conversations and educate himself and admit that, hey, okay, I didn't understand this that way, and I said these things, and I apologize because it wasn't meant to be it wasn't meant to stir up. He's saying it almost kind of like what you're saying, is that he's looking at it from from like a position of an oppressed people and saying like, yeah, but you have this thing, like that's a good thing, right? He doesn't see how that could be, or how that could have been a negative thing or had negative implications against them, right? So he owned up to that, is what I'm getting at, is that he took ownership of it and said like, hey, I said these things, but I didn't mean it this way, but I'm been further educated by people in the Jewish community, high-ranking people in the Jewish community, and I like to think that he's better because of it. Mm-hmm. I like to think that we should have a little bit more, a forgiveness period for folks in some regards, right? To where if a person is willing to like admit that they were wrong and kind of double back and say, hey, I didn't mean it that way, but I understand why it was wrong. Please forgive me and whatever, then we should have some forgiveness there. Now, repeat offenders or people that are just brash and don't want to take any ownership of it, absolutely. They don't need to have a platform. But
I guess I find it interesting that on one hand, something that is offensive to them is something that they can actually benefit from behind the scenes, though. Yeah. So, like I said, is it completely a false narrative that there are powerful Jewish people in the country?
But I don't think I think that's a different statement than what he said.
And maybe, and I guess
like what he said is basically saying Jewish folks have absolute power. They control,
I wouldn't say that,
but
But
he didn't add context. He didn't add nuance to his statement.
Yes.
So he made a blanket statement. So, all right. So that was my long-winded hot taker. What do you got for your half-truther?
My half-truther is a known conservative heel by the name of Ben Shapiro. He was on a recent episode of Joe Rogan podcast. Shout out to Joe Rogan. I guess he's moving to Texas. But on the show, there was one, he said a lot of things on the show. I typically watch clips, but one in particular kind of like really pissed me off. And it was stemming around.
Talk about it, man. Come on.
The Colin Kaepernick thing. Ben did exactly what majority of the country did for the last 4 years, which is basically say, this man can't tell you exactly what it's for. It's about something else. He again stepped out there and was like, it's about this, and it wasn't about that. It was about this. And what really pissed me off was basically his whole narrative of the show, or at least in the couple clips that I saw, were that police brutality is a myth. And essentially is a myth because I think he said something about there was a stat, I think maybe 2018, I imagine it's 2018 because I'm pretty sure the 2019 stats haven't been officially released yet. But basically there were only 15 black men that got killed by cops that were unarmed. And this is what these people do to try to shape the narrative. They pick a stat that works into their favor, into the narratives that they're trying to do. So, what about all the times black people were killed, even if they had a gun on them? What about all the times, why not compare that situation where the black guy armed get killed to how many times that same thing happened to a white person with an arm that's armed and get killed? He's not even taking into account police brutality in itself. Like, how often does that happen to a black blonde person as opposed to a white person?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not taking the whole totality. You're not taking into account people getting arrested, sentencing disparities. But you know what I'm saying? All that is what we're talking about.
But you don't need to. Chris Rock has an excellent clip out there, right? From one of his stand-ups where he talks. Certain jobs aren't allowed to have bad days.
Exactly.
Certain occupations. So if you're saying only 15,
Yes.
that's 15 too many.
That was coming too, my man.
So it doesn't matter if you say like, 15 out of 13% of the country, right? So 400 million, 15%, or whatever that is, 60 million people, only 50. That's still 15 people that didn't deserve to die, that died as a result of somebody failing to do their job, to perform their job.
Yes.
And when I say perform, I'm not saying like above and beyond.
Yeah, just
you failed to
minimum.
do the minimum. 15 people.
Another question I was going to ask is like, how many of those people still got their fucking job?
Probably all 15.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a stat he didn't look up.
Yeah, exactly. Another stat he didn't look up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so.
Bro, I couldn't, like, I think I watched maybe 2 clips of it, and I was like, can't watch no more of this shit. This clown, he's totally, drinking the Kool-Aid, or at least trying to make the money. I imagine Ben Shapiro does well in that world. You know what I'm saying? Taking that. But, like, it just pissed me off because it's like, it felt like we were starting to get to a place where people would stop with this Colin Kaepernick shit. That, you know what I'm saying, as far as like, well, he really meant this. It was disrespecting that. No, he was talking about this. And then you got this asshole come back on fucking, you know what I'm saying, a national broadcast for all intents and purposes. You know what I'm saying? And still saying the same shit. It's like, you are the fucking problem.
Well, the problem is that we expect people to change their mind when presented with information counter to their beliefs, and that's just not the case, man.
Yeah,
that's not the case. I'm reading this book, Humble the Poet, 101 Unlearn 101 Truths or something like that, whatever. Shout out to Humble, and yeah, the interesting. Yes. The whole concept of the book is interesting, but it's like the chapters are only like 1 or 2 pages generally. But one of them talked about how eventually, like, people's beliefs become their identity.
Yes.
And that struck a chord with me because I feel like everything is negotiable, generally speaking, in life. But the average person doesn't feel that way. And what I mean by that is that if I sit here and tell you this RonZacapa has, it's great because of all these reasons, right? But if you could come to me and say, yeah, I hear you, but let me show you this. And you could present facts that counter what I thought, I'll never drink this shit again. Like, I'm open to it. I'm not so, so bought in on this brand.
It won't shake my soul.
Yeah.
That shit won't shake my soul if I'm wrong or something.
Yeah.
Like, okay. All right.
But what I'm learning is that, and what touched me from this book is that there are a lot of people, I think there are probably more people who, or maybe it's not people in general. Let me not lump everybody into one category. But we all have things which we can't back away from because they are ingrained in our identity.
Ben Shapiro.
Yes. So, like,
yes,
when you think of, like, some of these pundits on, like, Fox and some of these shows, right, that's their livelihood. That has to be what they believe. They have to sell that they absolutely believe the bullshit that they are spewing out of their mouth, whether they believe it or not.
That's the sad part.
It is.
Because
it is.
The sad part is if they really don't believe it, but they're doing it for a check.
Well,
because there's people out there that actually believe it because
absolutely,
of what you say.
Absolutely, and those are the people who, even when presented facts,
shakes their soul. So
I absolutely believe that this guy probably doesn't believe half of the shit he's saying, but he knows that. What were we talking about before in pre-production? Like, let's see if it gets traction.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see if
it gets traction.
Let's see if it gets traction, or if it, if we don't take this hard of a stance, how does it resonate with our audience? No, they want you to double down on things and do this.
Yeah.
Right. These are probably, they're intelligent guys and gals. Right. They probably, if you set them down and you show them statistics, they understand statistics. But the problem is that it's not what pays their checks. It doesn't pay, their checks don't get cashed because they're middle of the road and they can see the other side is, okay, well, yeah, they made some good points over there. That don't pay the bills. Pays the bills to paint them as outlandish and as ridiculous as possible and to refute every claim that they have on the opposing side, rather saying, yeah, should a cop be killing a person who's unarmed? That sounds completely ridiculous. No, they got to paint a narrative that puts that weaponizes the whatever they can that the other person has against that person, and turns that person into the bad guy, and the cop is the superhero. The cop is the white knight. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man.
Fuck Ben Shapiro. All right, where do you want to go, man?
Is that how you really feel?
Yeah.
All right.
Where you want to start? You want to start go Trump in Washington?
Why you applaud him? You should have shot him.
Well, we're moving on.
All right.
We're moving on. I like to applaud when we move on.
There we go. Sorry, I don't operate the soundboard, so I don't know which, and they're not labeled. So let's just go down the list, man. Let's start with them dogs.
Okay. All right. Well, fuck it. Verzuz this week. Snoop, DMX. What you got? What you thought?
I should probably go second. Nah, I thought it was a good. First and foremost, let me give the flowers, man. It was two great entertainers from the hip hop community. I forget, I was a down south. I'm obviously a down south dude. You as well. We some down south Florida boys, down south Louisiana boys. So I say that to say, like, I didn't realize how many hits X had.
Yeah, he got hits.
And I knew X had hits. I've listened to X. You know what I'm saying? But I guess I didn't realize how big X was, because his run wasn't.
Right? No, it wasn't.
It wasn't that. It was long, but it wasn't that long.
Nah, I wouldn't. I would say, bruh, 99 to maybe 03. And then afterwards, he was sort of like a enigma.
Okay.
Because that's when he started getting in trouble.
Nah, but I remember people bumping X and like, yeah, he did get in trouble. He did start getting in trouble.
I'm not saying he didn't put work in, but I'm just saying that's when he started to like kind of fall back. He, okay. 99 to like 01, he was like probably the biggest rapper in the world.
Yeah. I give him that. I would have said, 'cause I was still hearing people bumping him. I didn't really come into like X until this was probably like 04, 05.
He still had shit. It was just that's when he was like having problems with his baby mama. He was going in and out of jail.
He'll never let her go.
You know what I'm saying?
He love her. He'll never let her go.
Yeah, I mean, he
said it.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's when he started to like fall to the back and was a legend from what he did. And if he did shit, people would want to go to see him in concert, get the album. But at that point, that's when Wayne and all these other the Dipset and all them niggas were starting to take off.
Yeah. That was about 05. Yeah, I think 05 when Dipset started bubbling. Wayne, but
because Old Boy was 02. I distinctly remember when he came out in 96, but
you talking?
It's the main guy in
who came out in 96?
Who's the main guy in
Cameron?
Yeah, Cameron 02 with
who was 96?
He came out in 96. Like his first shit was 96. Who? Cameron.
Oh.
But 02 is when he had like his first big hit, and he was on Rockefeller. And with that, I think it was Mariah Carey, Old Boy. Yeah. That Old Boy came out. And because I remember Crossing, and that was kind of like the song that was being played all over the place.
Okay.
But yeah, around that time, around 03, 04, that's when he started kind of like falling back. And I guess almost became, and then, after a while, maybe close to like 2010, he started becoming a caricature of himself. At least as far as like,
we still talking Cameron?
No. I'm back on Dogg.
Yeah, that's what.
That X. My bad.
You weaving in and out of these.
Yeah, I made my point as far as like, that was around the time he started to fall out.
Gotcha.
Like 03, 04, he was
on top of the world.
He was afterthought coming that point.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I'll say this, man. I think it was a great showing by the two of them. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Snoop absolutely won, but I think as big as X was, I think this Verzuz kind of showed that Snoop is in a whole nother
I didn't
stratosphere.
Think about it. I didn't think about it until like afterwards, some people started saying it. But like that Doggy style is like it's beyond a classic.
But not even just that. Like I'm watching, and I understand that like their lives have gone completely different over time and things, right? But X to me was a profound like voice and perspective, right? And he just so happened like he's got a lot of the elements that make a star. Like he's got a instantly recognizable voice. Like his voice, his tone, he's instantly recognizable. Snoop, the same thing, right? Yep. What I saw in this is that everything that X has, Snoop has, and then more. Yeah. Snoop is a born star. Like Snoop, one thing that stood out to me, X didn't want to take center stage,
and I think that probably is why he fell off like he did, because he got too big. He didn't want it.
He didn't. X.
He just wanted to rap.
X was at the left of that screen the entire time.
Yeah, like Snoop was enjoying the shit.
Is center stage. Snoop understands center stage.
Snoop was doing his part to engage him, to get him to be more
absolutely
into it. Yep.
And that's where the difference was to me. And as big as X was, And I recognize how big he was, even though I necessarily wasn't bumping him. But it just goes to show how much more of a, not more, because this isn't a comparative thing, but it just goes to show how Snoop is a natural born entertainer. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't shy away from the camera. He don't shy away from the center stage. He's confident in his abilities. Like, even at the end where he was like, oh, we done with the 20. Let's just kick some shit.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to sit back, kick a foot up. Like, he didn't strike me like I'm going to try to appeal to, like, these young cats. Like, this was almost like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but with Snoop.
Yeah.
Let's pull up a chair, y'all. Let me kick up my foot. Let me roll this J real quick. Put some shit on.
He did that shit. He did that sing. He did that skit. Uncle Snoop.
There you go. And it's like, but the show never let up. While Snoop was on that camera, like, the show didn't let up. He was there to entertain and to, like, there was no, like, I'm too tough to do this. I'm too tough to do that. Like, I'm seeing the memes of, like, Snoop dancing and shit, and it's just like, he literally out there just having a good time and making sure that the people viewing had a good time. And not saying X wasn't doing that as well, but just showing that, like, they're in different, I would say they're in different classes as far as entertainers go.
Yeah, Snoop just more of a natural entertainer. I mean, like I said, you know, I mentioned it earlier. Like, all X wanted to do was rap. Like, the fame fucked him up. I feel like that's what fucked him up. Yeah. And you know, kind of circle back to what I was saying earlier about his run.
What you said earlier? Tell him what you told me. Said
about about his run being like 98 to like, you know, like 2002. The reason why I said that, you know, because I'm a little older. I distinctly remember, I think it was either fall 98, fall 99 Bayou Classic in New Orleans on fucking Bourbon Street. That fucking stop, drop, shut them down, opened up shop, came on, and like the whole fucking Bourbon Street just like stop, drop, shut it, like, and I was like, bruh, and that's a New York nigga. You know what I'm saying? That was, I feel like
culture.
I feel like that was really his hype, like that 98, 99 period when he dropped them 2 albums in the same year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he was hot. Like, I like songs on a couple albums after that, but I didn't like the albums like I liked the first 2. Like that Blood and Flesh or whatever, I didn't like that one. It had a couple songs on it I liked, but at that point, he was just the biggest rapper in the world.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And I just feel like came about 2003, 2004. That's when he started getting all those issues. And he kind of fell out. And people, you know, as they do, out of sight, out of mind. You kind of forget how big someone might have been.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially as society moves from...
But I never forget that shit.
To MP3s to more.
Like, nigga, I'm walking down Bourbon Street. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. And that song come on and literally the whole fucking street is yelling.
Yeah.
Stop.
And that says something to me because I this was a recent thought that I've had, but there's something to be said about towns and cities like New Orleans where the culture is so strong, right? So if you could penetrate like that culture,
and that's uniquely Louisiana centric that weekend.
Yeah, and it's like because when you go to New Orleans, like there's no mistaking New Orleans for anywhere else.
Nope.
You know what I mean? It's one of the very few
I've had
towns.
To add to it, I've had professors from out of the country that basically said there are a few cities in the world that are unlike any other in the world, and New Orleans is one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And I mean, it's just everything from the food to the language to just the culture, like the music. Everything is different about it doesn't feel like if you want to travel and feel like you left the country, but you're still in the country, you go to New Orleans.
New Orleans and Miami a bit, but that's just because it's very Cuban and Hispanic and Caribbean.
Similar to how I feel Snoop and DMX are in different classes of entertainers, I feel like New Orleans to Miami, they're different classes.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with you.
So,
yes.
I feel like, and I get what you're saying about Miami, but I still feel like
I try to be fair. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Because, like, you know, I know I'm a homer for Louisiana and New Orleans, so I'll be like, I'm going to give it. But, you know, like
no.
in the United States, I know New York. You give New York, you give New Orleans. You know, maybe L.A., and then I think Miami.
But when I'm talking culture. You know what I'm saying? And
I got you. Yep.
So it's like you still feel familiar when I still feel familiar when I landed JFK. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, you get out and it's like, now what I will say is different is like when you hop on, if you get on like a train and you catch like some of the street performers on like a train, like at that point, then it's like, yo, I ain't never seen no shit like this. You know what I'm saying? Or them boys, you know, pull out and you just get like a show literally on the corner in New York. Like shit like that is what takes you kind of back. But New Orleans, like when I was there, like nothing felt familiar. Not even the Popeyes. I went to that damn Popeyes. That Popeyes on the corner of Canal and Bourbon.
Like I say, bro.
Like this ain't Popeyes.
Even in Louisiana, it's like Popeyes in New Orleans is better.
I'm like, the one thing that I thought I knew, I went there and I'm like, nah, dog, y'all. Nah. I want to have a talk with your CEO.
There was one, and I don't know if it's still the same, but there was one Bayou Classic, bro. I bought Coke, so they had like their own bottling plants in New Orleans as well, and man, the Coke was just different. I was like, man,
what are you saying?
Coca-Cola.
Okay, cause
Coca-Cola.
I'm like, where are we going with this podcast?
Like, I distinctly remember those. Like, it was like a Coke bottle. You know, the 2 liters. We were, drinking Crown and Coke, and I was like, man, this Coke is good. I don't know if it's the water that they're using in it, but god damn, this Coke is good. I'm gonna get some more of this shit. But you ain't gonna hear me complain anything about New Orleans. With that said, circling back to the topic. I too agree that Snoop took that, but I kind of figured that going into it. Snoop he's been relevant for a long fucking time.
Absolutely.
Like he's been relevant, and he just got too much catalog. Although he did stick to a lot of his like Doggy Style. He played a lot of Doggy Style. Like some songs I didn't think he was gonna play, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm glad you did.
I mean, I personally think he did that because, fuck it. I think he did that to kind of throw X a bone in a little ways because Snoop could have bossed him, I think. And that's a spades term.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Well, let me not say Boston.
He got a few.
Let me not say Boston because there's like 2 where it's like you just give X the win. So not a Boston, but he could have dimed him. Let's put it at that. A Boston is rare in spades anyway. So, but he could have dimed him. He could have. All right, you're gonna get 3 books, and then the rest of this.
I didn't think about it until just now. But maybe him and Swiss had a talk before.
Swiss and who?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Throw him a bone.
I think what they're trying to.
Swiss does a lot for DMX.
No, absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, them two, they kind of catapulted one another, you know? Yep. So, early on in their career, that is. But I just think that if you know Snoop's catalog, you know Snoop's recent hits, you know, back to Doggy Style. Like, somebody, I don't know where I was listening, but somebody was like, Snoop can literally probably put Doggy Style on and let it ride and be okay in this. And still probably come out on top. That's not even tying into, like, his Pharrell hits to... like sexual, what was it? Sexual seduction or whatever, like hits like that where it's just like, where the hell did this even come from? Yeah. And for it to be like one of the bigger hits in like 07, 08, you know, at that time. Like that's when Lil Wayne was at like the top of his, Lil Wayne was on everybody's track. And then here come Snoop, 20 years in. Let me just hit y'all with this banger real quick. You know what I'm saying? I remember that. That was when we was throwing house parties, man, charging people $300, $400 at the house party in Pine Hills.
Yes.
Over there off of North Lake, man. Yeah. Come party with us before the shit gets shot up. So that just goes to show, man, that he's just a different caliber of entertainer, and I love X, and I'm thankful for what X has contributed to the culture. Yes. But we gotta Snoop. If X get flowers, Snoop need like an arrangement. He need like a bouquet. He need something because it's crazy how long he's been able to last and provide us just entertainment. Period. Even if he's cooking with Martha Stewart, like he's not out of character. He's still Snoop.
Yeah.
And he'll still give you that in a bar on a hot track this year. And it's like, dog, he been in the game 30 years and still is entertaining, still crip walking, still putting hits out. It's crazy, dog. He's a different tier of entertainer. And both flowers to both of those gentlemen, man.
Yes, sir.
But bouquets to Snoop.
Next up, the Meg Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez incident. You want to jump off on that or?
Yeah, so...
Do you want to start with the area, or you want to start with the big topic?
What you mean by the area?
You want to tie in, local events.
We'll start with the big topic, and then we could tie into local, because I don't think people go.
All right, cool.
So, how we want to segue? There ain't no segue into this.
No real segue into this, baby.
All right, so for background, for those that are listening,
over the last week.
I think it was it might have been 2 weeks ago. Now, almost 2 weeks. It was an altercation with Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion, allegedly, in which they were apparently at a party in the Hollywood Hills.
Supposedly a good part of that's supposed to be a good part of LA.
Yeah, and upon leaving said party, the two were traveling in a vehicle together, and there's rumored to be another. Witness.
Someone else was in there. Her girl was in there.
I don't think that this witness has been identified, though.
No, they know who it is because it's a girl, and she spoke on it. I forget her name, but she spoke on it because basically what they were saying, initially they were trying to say that Tory didn't shoot her, and then she came out like, because she was on TV, on the film where all of them got out of the car, because the cops made them all get out of the car, so she was the only other one there. She was like, I didn't shoot her. So that was when it was like, it's clear. Tory shot her.
Yes.
But
it's not a laughing moment, but
yeah.
Just so that
as you can tell, I'm trying to not really trying. I don't think it's a laughing matter. But yeah. So the three people in the vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay, we're traveling in a vehicle when apparently shots were fired, and I saw a clip. It looked like it was from like a chopper or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, with Meg getting out the vehicle.
She was the only one on the right, and there was two on the left.
Yeah, and you can see Meg getting out the vehicle and kind of walking across the frame, limping, and then you can see what appears from the vehicle to be, from the video to be blood, kind of left over after her footsteps or whatever. So yeah, man. So this is I don't know. Is as much as I want to. It's like a bunch of cliches come to mind when I want to talk about.
Let them go, baby.
And
it's your turn.
Like this is
it's your turn to give.
Slippery slope.
Yeah.
It ain't. It's not. It's not a slippery slope.
No.
It's not slippery at all.
No. It's not.
And
if the rumors are true.
If the
rumors of the story, how it got to that.
Well, it's three parties involved. One says she ain't do it. Let's play hip hop Clue. Guess who?
I wish I had the sound. Don't.
Yeah. Let's take them all to people's court real quick and let's figure out. Let's put on our fucking mystery machine outfits or whatever. So as you said, the best friend or the friend says she ain't do it.
Yeah.
Meg didn't say she did it.
No.
Because we all know that's a thing as well. Like, even if you clearly didn't do it, like, hey, take this charge.
She said, but she did say it was done to hurt her, to harm her.
Yeah, it was you were shot.
So, some of the scuttlebugs.
So, what do you mean by that? Elaborate on that.
Some of the scuttlebugs was that it went off on accident. And she's like, no, it was done to harm me.
So this was a deliberate, is what she said.
Deliberate act.
This was a deliberate draw and discharge of the firearm.
Yeah.
Okay. That's sucker shit.
Hey, you know, hey man.
That's there's and we'll tie in this other situation, but I'll come out and say it, man. That's sucker shit. And this other situation, it really don't set the scene to disprove what I'm saying right now, but that's sucker shit to me. Any altercation with like a female where like one, it's hard enough justifying yourself using like your hands.
Yeah, that's hard.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's technically wrong.
It's hard enough.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's wrong. Like just across the board, technically that's wrong.
Yeah, and there's situations where I've seen where it's like
that's why I say technically.
Yeah, where and that's where I want to kind of shoot some bail early to say like there are situations where like for whatever reason, like let's leave out the context, but let's say I've heard, you know, of people dealing with women that like are coming at them with like blades and stuff, or maybe they got like a whole group of their friends, and I say, okay, well in that case, right, you outnumbered.
Like I said, technically, you shouldn't. There's never a time you should put your hand, but there
are instances where it's like
in every rule there are exceptions.
That's right. So
yes,
but even that one, right? It's like if we listen to the story and you let people paint the story where it's like, well, yeah, it was like 5 of their homegirls. So I just had to get them up off me, right? We still even put like, all right, so you got them up off you, right? Boom. Like you just 1-2 and then you got up out of there. They learned and then it went on. But if it's like a 1-2, but then I was on top UFC hammer fist.
I decided to deal with them all.
Yeah, it's like, all right, that's sucker shit. It's sucker shit.
You went too far.
We can admit, like, it's a point where it's like
out of there.
You make your point. You stand your ground to get them up off you, and then once they get up off you, you regain composure.
You make your exit.
Yes, you regain composure, you leave. Now, if you go above and beyond, and it's like you clearly are the dominant person, and you continue to exert dominance, that's sucker shit, bro. Mm-hmm. This is one of those instances where, or this is an instance, I have a hard time finding any, like, a strain of, like, a follicle of justification for this.
No.
I got nothing.
I can't get no justification on it. I can't say in all situations everyone should keep their hands to themselves. So I guess the story is that while they were partying, he was flirting with a certain billionaire. And said rapper was upset about that, and they got into it. And apparently she was laying hands on him. And that's what kind of led to the pulling of the gun. But, again, you shouldn't put your hands on people, but it still shouldn't have led to, that jump.
An escalation of force like that.
That's, hey, man, that's too far. You shouldn't be pulling guns on women. And, shit, man, she was upset. I guess she really liked your little ass. Literally.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I guess she really liked your little ass.
The boxer and the Great Dane.
I would, I'm not going to do that to my man, Paulo.
What is this? What
Paulo's not 5'3", bro.
Paulo
is at least close to average size.
The
That's not average.
Lady and the Tramp? I'm going to think of a pun for that before this episode is over. The Lady and the Tramp. All right. I get something. But it's sucker shit, bro.
Yeah.
There's no justification of it. Being a gun owner and just kind of understanding, the responsibility that comes with that is, I can't think of any reason why you should have to do that aside from them being armed and like outnumbering you.
And the thing about it is, it feels like it happened. I guess I don't know the full story.
And there were multiple gunshots apparently.
Yeah. I think she got hit twice or something.
Twice.
So, but
allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Don't come.
Why we gotta allege shit like this? Like, can we count the bullet holes in her foot?
So, but
why hasn't this been released?
So is Tory Lanez canceled?
I'll say this, right? Chris Brown ain't canceled.
I think that's a totally different situation, though.
I think it's one and the same. I think this is just a
Chris Brown was 18. This man's going on 30. He's 26, 27. Different. He was like I can still say Chris Brown was a kid then. I can't say Tory Lanez a kid.
I hate with this. I see right and wrong. Period.
Yeah. So it's
right,
that
and I do agree. You know, Chris was young, and I can point to a lot of causal kind of like factors that go into play here and what's going on. But I look at it like this. I believe everybody should be forgiven for whatever they did, right? And I don't think that Tory should be indefinitely, or infinitely condemned for this.
He's probably gonna go to jail.
No, and
Yes.
So he goes to jail. So this is what I mean, right? I think that you should get rightfully so what comes as a result of it, right?
It seems like she wants justice.
Yeah, well, okay, and it should be had. But I'm saying that whatever Chris Brown did, there are people out there who have labeled him as one thing, and he will forever be that thing to them, right? And I don't think that is necessarily fair.
I don't think it's fair.
And I don't think that it's fair even in this case. But I do think that this is sucker shit.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. And albeit this might be hypocritical, I might be one of them people that just kind of label him as like, and albeit, let's tie this to Nipsey Hussle, rest in peace, is like,
yes,
how Nipsey saw old boy that killed him.
Okay.
Is that, hey man, like you did that.
Yeah.
Right? You did that. That's what you did, and I can't be associated with that. I can't be affiliated with that. Right? This person had an issue accepting their own behavior and took it out on Nip.
Yes.
Right? And I just hope that, whatever comes of this, if Tory is found to be, and let me not say if he's found. If he did that shit, he can take onus and responsibility and accountability for his actions and what comes as a result of it, right?
Yeah.
That's all that needs to be said about that. Should he be canceled? I don't think anybody should necessarily be canceled because, again, like I said earlier, I think that everybody can grow. That's the only way you grow in life is by making mistakes. But
that's a big mistake.
It is, and you just got to be man enough. You were man enough to pull the strap, allegedly. You're man enough to pull the trigger on it twice, allegedly. Just count. No jokes. All right, just no jokes.
Yeah.
Be man enough to take what comes afterwards. You know what I'm saying? The difference is, I think the difference is one, a firearm being used versus, it being like a physical altercation. And, you can make an argument that like, if we in a Lamborghini, already ain't a big car, and you start swinging and doing whatever, which is the alleged story I hear with the Chris Brown situation, reflexes, defend myself, boom, let me get you up off me and all that.
And also taking in mind, also allegedly, a key was thrown into the street, which led to like the fight. Like that's some petty shit.
But that's you gotta. I was just talking with my barber about this yesterday because there was a young man there who shall remain. I don't even know his name, so he shall remain nameless. Yeah. But he's just striking me as just like, damn, I shouldn't have left my pistol in the car.
Yes.
As I'm getting lined up, I'm just like, why'd I leave this fucking pistol in the car? Because like this nigga, you can just tell the type of energy he attracts. You know what I mean? And it's just like certain people. And I remember before he even got there, I'm talking with the barber, and I'm like, certain people, like an old head always told me, certain people just shouldn't have a gun on them because they don't have the self-control to distinguish between a situation that requires one and one that doesn't.
No, that was did you see that I don't want to say a meme, but it was like a video where a cat basically popped off on 4 cats in like it looked like a chicken spot.
In a diner, yeah.
That looked totally like
just walked up and bam, went out the door after another.
I could tell like now.
That's what this dude. That's who this dude struck me as being.
Full disclosure, I feel like them niggas were clowning him, but I don't think it deserved that.
No.
And then like the thing that really like got to me was like he purposely went for that first one because he passed the first guy up.
Headshot.
And then got all the other.
And shot the other dude. Shot the dude going out the door, and then turned back, shot the dude in the. Yeah.
I was like, man, that's a young nigga that don't need to have a gun.
So as I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this dude talking, that's exactly who came to mind. And I'm like, this dude, what he was saying was just, and it's over. It was all over like trivial, just like really, it's just like a woman. Yeah. Right, a woman done slept with somebody, and now the dude mad and approached him about it, and it's like. I'm like, bro, nobody needs to die over this.
No.
There's plenty of women out there.
I never forget one of the first lessons for my pops was never over a woman.
Just.
Never over a girl. I was like, all right.
Come on, man.
This is like 7. Never fight over
But it's like, but hearing what he was saying, it was like, I believed him. You know what I'm saying? But then at the same time, it was like, and it's crazy because it's like, the dude in front of me that was getting cut, wasn't talking. He wasn't saying nothing. Like he in the chair and like we talking or whatever. He would laugh and snicker every now and then, and he chime in like 1-2 words at a time. And I'm like, I wonder if buddy, you know, just like he was a younger dude. I'm like, you can't tell how somebody live or whatever. I'm like, he strike me as somebody that been through something. Like I can tell he been through something just by how he's kind of acting in this moment. Like he don't feel necessarily safe to open up in this moment. So then he get up out the chair. I'm getting cut. You know, it's just me and the barber, and we chopping it up. And then this other dude instantly show up with this kind of energy. I go quiet for like the whole cut. I basically look like the dude that was in the chair before, and I'm just like this dude strikes me as like he's
unhinged.
Yeah. And I'm like, you say one thing, maybe you chime in and say like, oh, nah, bro, you was tripping there. And then all of a sudden it's
you the problem.
It's here, right? And I'm just like, and then it's also left my damn pistol in the car.
Yes.
So, but yeah, this situation, tying it back to Tory, this situation is sucker shit, and I'll bring it to a little more local to our Palm Beach, you know, kind of proximity with. As we're talking, the barber brought up a story. He asked me, "Did you see the story about the shooting in Lantana?" And I'm like, "No, I ain't hear about that." But I did. I saw the picture. I didn't see the story. I didn't read the story. But I saw a picture on Twitter, and people saying like, you know, rest in peace to these girls and whatever. And I saw the picture of the 2 young Latina females or women, and so I'm talking to Barber, and I'm like, was it 2 like Hispanic women? He was like, yeah. And I'm like, yo, I saw like a picture. What happened? Apparently, the one of their either ex-boyfriends or boyfriend that they were dealing with at the time, you know, they were having an altercation or something. She calls a sister to, you know, come and just kind of like. There's no context around it, obviously, because
obviously, I think when people do that, it's just for like you ain't gonna do nothing in front of someone. I think that's what that's for.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's that she's just genuinely scared and wants someone else there.
Someone be here because like I don't like by myself. You're gonna take it there, but if someone else is here, you at least think about it.
Yep. And so the young man
that didn't work.
Shot and killed both of the young women, and that very easily, this same situation could have very easily been the Tory Lanez, Meg Thee Stallion situation.
True.
Right? Literally the same setting. Well, not same setting, but so not literally. So basically everything I just said was fucking false. But contextually, right? We paint the picture. 2 women, 1 guy. 1 guy with a firearm. With, you know, for whatever reason is unstable in that environment. You know what I'm saying? As in this kind of, you know, I hear Tory Lanez music and I hear him talk about, you know, all the you know, struggles, the trials and tribulations he's been through. But you can always tell a nigga that ain't never been just like punched in the face. Because certain shit you can just eat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, well, it's a girl, man, and you wrong. Like, if you were trying to get at the billionaire, you're wrong. Take your lick. She upset. She's right to be upset.
We done all been stole on, bro.
She's right to be upset. You gotta take that.
We all been stole on, like from a man, from a woman. Like I've been hit by both.
It should be. I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry, babe.
You de-escalate that situation.
Instantly, your mind should be like, what am I gonna do to get out of this shit?
You de-escalate it. If that mean leave, you leave. If that mean like get her up off you, you go to the other side of the house. You go to the other side of the house, but you de-escalate.
A little bit of ego in there, though.
Absolutely. Because again,
hubris would get you there, though.
But so it only comes down to shot placement between these two situations. How you get from one situation to the other. You know what I'm saying? He clearly, Tory that is, was clearly, aiming low. But you don't really need to aim much higher because you can shoot somebody in the thigh and kill them. They can bleed out. You hit that femoral artery. And I'm almost certain you could hit them in like the ankle too. Like there's that artery, same big artery runs, I want to say, down to the ankle. But it's just a matter of shot placement. Because had he shot her, allegedly in the chest or something like that, this whole situation becomes
different. Yep.
The same situation that happened here locally in Lantana. And I just want, I don't know what needs to be said, to our men out here. And it strikes me as it's weird, man, because it's like you see these posts. I see these posts at least, and it resonates with me because it's like protect black women. You know what I'm saying? And I know these young women weren't black in this situation. Meg Thee Stallion was. And it's like it doesn't strike me that we need to do that, but apparently we really need to do that.
I thought of you when I heard that shit. I was like, man, definitely went out of the way at the spot to protect someone.
And it's like, but we really need to do that because it's not just like kind of known to like don't take out your aggression on a woman out here. And it's sad to me, bro. And it resonated with me a little bit because I was on Twitter just going through some threads or whatever, and I saw somebody post like a thread where it's like, here's a thread of like guns perfect for concealed carry for women out there, whatever. And I chimed in with, my recommendation, and then they get, 5 likes, 20 likes, whatever, right? However many, 20, 30. And I'm literally just like, women are literally out here concerned that they need this weapon, that this post, which was literally just a picture, like, hey, perfect, it got capacity, is this, it's affordable, this is what I recommend. And then they're all like, thank you, DMing me, thank you, this is a good recommendation, all that. I'm just like, they are literally legit concerned out here. We got to do better. And this Tory Lanez story doesn't help that landscape. It doesn't help paint the narrative that we as black men are doing a good enough job to protect black women. Whether it be your family or not your family, you know what I mean? Like, could literally you just walking past and you see an altercation happening, and do you interject? Do you just kind of diffuse it in that moment? You know what I'm saying? And I know black people, we like to say that ain't none of my business and just keep it pushing. But as black men, sometimes you got to realize when like the odds are like, okay, it's a dude against a woman. And, I don't really know the situation, but like it can't come down to physical. Like whatever, like we draw the line at like you trying to physically harm a black woman. Because I'm seeing too many stories, man, with them being shot and worse, killed as a result of whatever. So, I don't know, man. But
I mean, I agree for the most part. I mean, I think in general, more black men do that. It's just when it happens far too often. And like you said, I think there is a little bit of that's none of my business type stuff. Because, the narrative, I guess, part of the narrative in our community is, if she really wanted to leave, she would have left him. Like, they're going to be together tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to get myself into something that tomorrow they'll be right back in love.
Yeah, but I guess the way I see it is like contextually speaking, like if we out at Peaks or something like that, and we see somebody put hands on a woman in that situation, it's like, again, you're not trying to escalate it. You're trying to de-escalate it and just say like, hey man, like I get it.
But that could escalate it.
It could, understandably.
So you got to go in with that energy that this could go there.
Yeah, and that is what it is, man. At the end of the day, you know what are the Spartans say? You know, you come back with your shield or on it. So what's it gonna be? You know what I'm saying? And that might be a fault to mine. That might be an ego with mine because you've had talks with me where it's like, hey, young buck, you gotta what we used to say at set, pause and consider. Yeah. Pause and consider, young fella, but that's fight or flight for me. It's just, and maybe it's because of personal experiences, man. My older sister had an instance where a young man that she was dealing with, kicked in my grandma's door, and nobody was harmed in that instance, but it was just, and this was a dude who was mild mannered and generally, like, you would never think he had like temper problem. He wasn't that big a dude, you know what I'm saying? He was comparable to a boxer pit bull stacked up to not even to a Great Dane. My sister ain't that big, but he was like comparable to my sister's size. You know what I'm saying? So this would be like two Frenchies. My sister only about 5'4", so this dude was like 5'4", 5'5", maybe 5'6", but still a slim dude.
Gotcha. And
I just remember thinking like dog, what the fuck are you thinking right now? Like. My grandmother's crib, 65, 70-year-old woman at the time. And then here you are going after, a woman in this instance. And it's just, it didn't, that shit never struck, never sat well with me. So
unfortunately, there are a lot of weak men out there.
Yeah. So we got to do our part, man, to just kind of, be, like I was telling the young man last night, man, and I know he wasn't trying to hear that shit or whatever, but like certain people just don't need to have straps on them. And you got to be man enough to know your temperament and be man enough to know, I think the old heads used to say, like, to me, is like, there's no point in even having a gun on you because if you got it, you're liable to use it, right? And if you're going somewhere where it's like, I need to have my gun on me, you don't need to be going there. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, live your life to where you don't have to live with those type of paranoias and those type of, thoughts running through your mind. You know what I'm saying? And we got to be man enough to remove ourselves from situations. And we got to be man and woman enough to remove ourselves from situations where we feel the need to physically react to something. If you into somebody so much to where if they, making googly eyes at somebody else, you got to put hands on them. That ain't the person to be with.
And that ain't love.
It's just not the person. And I'm not trying to victim blame or nothing here. I want to make that clear. I'm pretty sure my stance is clear. Sucker shit to pull a gun on a female and to discharge on a female is, nigga, you leveled up. You got the sucker stone. Go take it back to Pokemon.
Yeah.
But also you just got to recognize what type of energy people evoke out of you and understand that, like, the right person wouldn't put you in that compromising situation. And if a person's willing to do that, maybe y'all need to have a conversation. Just be like, what really are your intentions here? And if they not aligned, leave that motherfucker alone. Because you see where this shit can go. And thank God that, Meg Thee Stallion, wasn't harmed further. That she was able to walk out of that situation. But it could very easily have been these two young ladies from Lantana. So rest in peace to the young ladies from Lantana. Prayers and condolences to her family. I hate saying this shit on every episode, but
that was the times we in, man. With that said,
unfortunately,
don't fall prey to the sucker shit. With that said, don't be a square. Hit the share, like, love, thumbs up, notification button, subscribe button on all our social media platforms, on Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud under Hot Takes and Have Truth Podcast.
Yeah.
IG and Twitter under HT Square Pod. And if you're truly new school, old school, you can email us. Any comments, show topics, questions at htsquarepod@gmail.com. Next up, your boy, our boy, Kanye West for president. And the thereafter, and all the shenanigans after. So I guess last Sunday, your boy had his first presidential rally.
Clearly, you didn't think very much of it.
I mean, the man, you know, it was interesting. He was crying, ranting, and raving. Said some, you know, I would say libel type shit about my, you know, about the legend Harriet Tubman. I mean, you can't do that. You can't do that, man. Come on now, Kanye. You got no better than that, man.
Yes.
But he seemed unhinged throughout the rally. The bits and pieces I saw. He did talk
unhinged, meaning what?
Like he was a little crazy. Like he was a little bit of like I know we, you know, I take that back. You know what? Let's not use those words. Like he was going through something mentally. I feel like he felt it. Like it meant something to him. Like he embodied what he was saying. So he thought it to be true. But I do feel like he was unhinged.
Okay.
Throughout the whole, like, for instance, it was a presidential rally, but he had no, like, sound system set up. And when I say sound system, I'm talking about as far as, like, microphone. So all this that he's talking about, he's yelling at the top of his lungs.
Yeah.
You know, like what we would in the, you know, old days would be like a crazy man.
Okay.
But, you know, he went down the line about talking about his mother and how his father wanted to abort him, how he saved his child, and you know, how he's against abortion, and how, you know, I guess one of his policies, his platform is that every woman with a child should be taken care of, and I think he said something to the extent of put $1 million in a account for them when they had a baby.
Yeah, if you don't have an abortion,
yeah,
that baby will give you $1 million.
So he was kind of all over the place, man. Then he got on the Harriet Tubman, you know. Now, like, there you go again. But at any rate,
so what was your take on the Harriet Tubman? What feelings did that evoke in you when you heard that?
Like I said, you can't do that to Harriet, man. You can't belittle her achievements, what she did. You know, don't belittle that. Like, so were there any factual points in what he said? Did, you know, the slaves come up north and end up working for white people? Probably. You know, that's kind of the trade that they naturally moved to, because when they was on the plantation, they were taking care of Master House. Now they actually get paid to do that. So it's like you have a skill set, and they're taking advantage of the skill set. So there may be some truth to it, but you're belittling it by saying all she did was make her go from working from one white man to the next white man. The difference in this case is she's getting paid, and she has a life when she leaves there. She can go do what she want to do, as opposed to all you going is to your slave quarters.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And don't belittle that. You know, and then I find it ironic that someone that doesn't want his achievements belittled for him to be belittling another black person's achievements. You know what I'm saying? I find that very fucking rich. And just when I thought we were about to accept Kanye back into the clan.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
They call it a clan. Come on.
I mean, well, it's a clan. I mean,
Nah,
shit.
it's the posse.
I mean,
Phil Jackson called it.
I mean,
the posse.
hey, in my organization, it's called the clan. So I don't feel no kind of way about us being our own clan as far as our people.
Okay.
You know, just when I thought we were about to be able to let this brother back in, you know what I'm saying? Because I felt like he was, right before he started all this bullshit about running for president, I felt like he was trying to make some steps.
Yeah.
He just doubles down. He runs for president and then doubles down with the whole Harriet shit. So
was this more offensive or less offensive to you than his slavery was a choice comment?
it's right in the same.
So it's par.
Yeah, it's right in the same. All that's the same to me. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, that's bullshit. There was fucking laws in place, you know, to put you back there. Like, if you ran, you get caught, you going right back and you getting fucked up. Niggas made a decision.
Yeah.
Just like you make a decision to get off your drugs or not.
Okay. So I guess I'll enter into this. I think I tie into Dave Chappelle's. I'm leaning on comedians heavily today. Chris Rock, not Dave Chappelle.
Yes.
And I like to tie into Dave Chappelle's 15. How old is 15 really? Because earlier we were talking 15. And that skit came to mind too. But so keeping with Ye and Chappelle's conversation, I think he was on a late night show that one time, and he was talking how the media tries to control this narrative around people being crazy, and what they do after painting somebody as crazy, and then that label, when that label gets placed on people. So I'm hesitant to use that term to describe him. I like to think that you don't reach the level of success that he's gotten being crazy, right? So while you were talking, you said crazy, and I wanted to look up the definition because I know what I know it to mean. But I also said I don't want to do that, so I went back and just said unhinged. Yeah, but you just giving me entanglement. Like you just hit me with entanglement instead. You know what I'm saying? So the first definition is what I think a lot of people understand it to mean is mentally deranged, demented, insane. 2 is senseless and practical, it's totally unsound. But then you get down to like the third, fourth, the more formal definitions, and you get intensely enthusiastic, right? Passionately excited. And then you get it to where it's very enamored or infatuated, about something. Intensely anxious or eager, impatient, unusual, bizarre, singular.
Well, I guess that goes when people say it's a good thing, but that's crazy.
Yeah, and but the problem, I guess the problem with that word is that there's a spectrum of the definition, right? So what I've read for you just here in these brief definitions, the 6 or 7 I read, goes from you need to be in an asylum all the way to he's just passionate and everything in between. And I think that we got to be careful with using that term just because I don't want to paint him using that term. I don't want to say it and mean he's passionate, but then it's only received with people as he's mentally deranged and needs to be locked up somewhere, right?
Well, I wouldn't say he needs to be locked up, but I definitely need to say if he has. So I think it's documented that he's bipolar. So in that instance, I'm sure he's prescribed medication. I think he definitely needs to make sure he stays on his medication. Okay. But the problem is, I guess we're just gonna end up getting to that point. But the problem is if he, he's a creative, and a lot of times creatives are quote unquote crazy at their time. A lot of creatives have been considered that. Didn't Van Gogh cut his ears off? You know what I'm saying? So it's not. That was a gift. That's not even. So it's not so far out of the realm of society or norms that creatives get to that point. But I think the thing with him is I think he goes through those runs whenever he's he has these like episodes, I guess, around the time when he's dropping music, and when one would think it makes sense to come off the the meds because it does you. You don't feel anything.
Yep.
You know, the kind of quote what they said on Fragrant 2. You know, you don't feel anything, and in order to, you know, make that music, you gotta feel something. And so, in order to do that, you gotta come off the meds.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to draw a parallel between that and not necessarily. I don't subscribe to what they said about the medication. I think that this comes back down to let's talk Last Dance, Michael Jordan. You need something to motivate you to want to be better or to do better. So the same way Jordan could take, like, I think a few people recounted like the Last Dance when they gave like their reviews and things. They say like Jordan took like what Jordan perceived an encounter to be and what somebody else's record of the encounter to be, two completely different. Mm-hmm. Jordan took it in his mind to, you know, over here to we on 1,000 with it, where somebody literally just said like, excuse me, little guy, right? It could be a center who bumped into him on the court and literally is you know, saying, excuse me, right? The little guy on there being that you're literally smaller than me.
I think the biggest one, or the biggest example of it on The Last Dance was that the guy that played for the Washington Bullets at the time, and I think they played him on a back-to-back, and he said the guy scored 32 points on the first night, and I think he made something up in his mind that the guy said something to him like this, that, and the third, and he mentioned it to his teammates that night. It's like, I'm gonna show him tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then
went out and torched his ass.
20 years later, he was like, nah, he never said it. like, because I think like 2010, they asked the guy, it was like, did you really tell him, you know, nice game or something? It was something just like that. And he was like, no, I never said that. And then Jordan.
So in that same, that's what I like equate this to, is like he needs something to motivate him and to push him from wherever, right? Maybe. The same way Jordan did. Because if that ain't fucking crazy, if that ain't crazy to say like this guy said something completely outlandish that he didn't say, and then 20 years later it's just like, yeah, he didn't say that. But I needed something to fuel me, to motivate me in that moment to come out the next night and fucking kick it up a gear.
I guess the only, and you know, I guess I got to take this with a grain of salt, because we are talking about the Kardashians. You know, they, you know, the kind of airing out family, but, and he kind of coined the term family business, airing out family business. You know what I'm saying? Although, again, like I said, it's the Kardashians. You know, accusing his wife of cheating on him, which she probably has. You know, I wouldn't put that past her. Allegedly.
Saw that coming.
But, you know, but also throwing, just how, you know, it seemed like there was no thought to it, because it was like, on one hand, same tweet, he's talking about Meek and his wife. And then it's like, Lil Baby didn't, you know, it was one of my favorite artists, Lil Baby, and he don't want to get in touch with me. You know what I'm saying? Something like, you know, it was just like, it makes sense, like, with a person that's documented of having bipolar, that he's going through a situation.
But that don't strike me as, from what I understand bipolar to be, that doesn't strike me as bipolar. That just strikes me as him being like scatterbrained. And bipolar, how I understand it, is like, I mean, you experience like extreme highs one day followed by like extreme lows.
But they can go for days though. Like, those highs can go for a while.
Yeah, understandably. But what I'm saying is like in your example, what you're saying is like he'll tweet one thing and it seems like he's at a high in that one moment, and then the following tweet is like completely opposite. And to me, it just sounds like somebody that's got.
I said that. What you mean it's complete opposite? I didn't say that.
You're saying how like he can go from tweeting about like his wife is cheating on him to then saying like, damn, Lil Baby's my favorite artist, but I can't get in contact with him or something.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
Yeah, but that don't strike me as being like, just because those two tweets aren't related, that don't strike me as crazy. It just strikes me as like, damn, the nigga was thinking I want to do a track with Baby, and it came to him after, you know, he had some whatever.
But this is after like ranting about, you know, the Kardashians and Playboy shoots for their kids, and, you know, call me Chris and Kim, all on fucking Twitter that 24 hours later they've taken down.
Again, that maybe it's just me. It just strikes me as like, I just think that people aren't like people. You don't have to have the word non sequitur or the phrase or whatever the fuck it is exists for a reason.
I know you're Kanye. Hey, I love Kanye too, man.
I'm not even.
I want Kanye. You know.
I just tying this back to Dave Chappelle.
I'm scared
like what Dave Chappelle said is that, like, you know, the entertainment business, you know, and Dave Chappelle's like, I don't know if it was a skit or what it was. He was on I think he said it like talk show.
People talking about. I think it was part of one of his episodes.
But he was talking about Martin Lawrence, and he was saying how does somebody this strong, right? Now you got him running out and screaming in the streets, and now people are labeling him as crazy. It's like, is he crazy, or are you actually doing something to him? So, and then Dave Chappelle, and tying it back to himself, he said, "Why did I go to Africa?" It's almost like he couldn't speak on it, but he's like, "Why?" Like, I'm not. He's sitting there telling you this in a calm, collected way. And he's like, why did I go to Africa? I went to Africa, and while I'm over there, I'm crazy. I'm deemed crazy or something like that. So it's like there's this, it's almost like it's just easy to paint somebody as that. It's easier to paint somebody as that than to understand or to seek a little bit of understanding as to what maybe they might be going through or what could lead them between these two things. And Kanye has never struck me as somebody who, one, like, even when he was on fucking, what was it, MSNBC or something like that, and he hit him with the George Bush don't care about black people. That was completely out of fucking left field. But because it was in the favor of our beliefs and our benefit, then we accepted it. And we're like, oh, this guy's a fucking genius. Completely out of left field.
I mean, it did help that his first album kind of had that feel as well.
Yeah, okay, but my point is that he'd been doing this shit, and we never seemed concerned with it before because the potential benefits to it fell in our realm.
I guess my one rebuttal to that is it seemed like it got worse once his mother died. He started having far more like incidents on the like, man, that's a little wild.
And I'd say it seems that way
That's
because
wild.
now we have immediate access to him.
Maybe.
So since his mother's died, Twitter,
maybe,
Instagram,
and maybe
TikTok have all taken.
Also, after his mother died, that's when he became really the big star. Like, he was just a known star while he was here.
Yeah, but you got to think, when he made the comment about George W. Bush, this was when George W. Bush was in office, so we're talking pre-2008. Right? I think that was 2005 when he made that comment.
It's 2005. So I say that because it was like that fall of 2005. I say that to say that I feel like she knew her son a lot and she could calm him down. Whereas now, no one can.
I guess I don't disagree with that, but I'm saying that, like, I don't want to be so quick to label him as crazy now when he's doing the same shit he's been doing for the past 15 years.
I don't think I mean, I get what you're trying to say as far as he was doing that then, but I don't think there was as far, I don't think. So you're talking about maybe 1 or 2 incidents in about a 5-year period, and now it's like regular now.
1 or 2 instances that we know about. And now, again, the difference is that we have immediate access to him and his train of thought.
I'll give you that.
So if you take away that buffer, if you put it to where, you only hear from Kanye on a major media outsource, right? MSNBC or BET or something like that, right? He's always struck me as outlandish. Kanye he's never stricken me as, even when he went up against 50, I'm like, this nigga's crazy. I said it then. You a crazy thing you could go up against 50. And he actually beat him. He actually outsold 50, right? But when he said that at the time, it's like there's no way this guy thinks that he's bigger than this other guy. And then he proved everybody wrong. So I guess I say all that to say I don't want to be so quick to label him as crazy. I think what he says is outlandish, and I think he thinks at a wavelength, not even at a wavelength, because I don't think what he's saying is ingenious or nothing like that. I think his concepts of what he's saying is.
Well, didn't you say earlier he's a marketing genius?
No, that I agree with. I think there are a lot of people that are marketing geniuses, and I still don't necessarily agree with him. I think Trump is a marketing genius, and it is what it is. I don't agree with his politics and shit.
Let's not go there.
But there it is. But it's but I think Kanye's doing some of the same right now. Literally, I think he's doing some of the same. Doing some of the same as what the president is doing. It's just I'm just gonna put some shit out there and I'm gonna stand. And he's always done this. That's the problem that kills me. I'm gonna put some shit out there and I'm gonna speak so confidently about it that like people will begin to believe it, even though they didn't believe it last week. And before you go, I said this to my wife the other day. I laughed about it because Trump tweeted, "Wearing a mask might be the most patriotic thing you could do." I'm like, this nigga, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah. Now watch the narrative on wearing masks change. And if the narrative switches and people start believing that like, oh, you got to wear a mask because it's a patriotic thing to do, even though it's been these, right-wing kind of Trumpers supporting it and saying, like, yes, I'm not wearing it because it's an infringement upon my rights. If that narrative changes because of what he tweeted, I'm like, how can you deny this guy's genius? This might be the most patriotic thing to do is wear a mask. You got to be kidding me. And people fall for it.
So I wouldn't agree on that. That just show how callous and how simple-minded a lot of people are. Like, on one hand, just because this motherfucker didn't believe in masks, and like, I ain't wearing masks, you believed it. Like, oh, it's not that serious a deal. I don't need it. And it's an infringement on my rights. But now this asshole come back and said, now he's like, oh, well, now I'm being a patriot. Like, simple.
We're simple people,
Simple-minded. But to get back with you, just my last piece on the Kanye thing. And again, I said it earlier that I won't put it completely past the Kardashians to do this shit, But the one reason why I guess I feel like this is different is now, North is getting at an age where she's going to hear this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, mom's cheating on dad. Moms and grandma trying to put dad in the hospital. I mean, I think I'm not a parent, but, you're a parent. I would think at some point you wouldn't want to put that in their face like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's going to get that. And that's going to affect her.
That's the problem with the world. Did you do it? If she did it, you got to own up to that shit at some point.
True, but I mean, still.
Like, it ain't no but still. It's literally, the problem is we live in a society ruled by marketing and by perception. And we don't face the reality often because we can deflect using, creative marketing things and whatever else. And at the end of the day, if you cheated on your wife, right? And one day your son asks you, "Hey, Dad, did you ever cheat on your wife?" You either gonna do one or two things. You're gonna lie, or you're gonna tell him the truth.
Yeah, but it wouldn't happen at 7 or 8.
But we don't know that now. The kids have access to everything
True.
now.
I mean,
so we can't base this on like our experience growing up because I found out about sex in elementary school. I was in like 4th, maybe 5th grade, and I found out about that shit because of the internet. Whereas you ask my parents, they might not have found out until middle school because elementary school people just generally ain't thinking that. But then you go to middle school, you got 8th graders, a little more mature. Maybe they, into some things. Maybe high school. I think if I recall correctly, my mom said she didn't know about it until like high school. So, but you can't assume that the following generation who has more access to information and things are going to be the same way.
The only reason why I can. I don't want to say assume, but the only reason why I would say that is because a lot of, what I hear from parents is about protecting their child, shielding their child from certain experiences. And I would imagine something as life-altering and shattering as, mom and dad may possibly be leaving is something that they want to shelter from their kid until the last moment.
Man, you're going to take me to a whole nother conversation, but this is I could argue why that's more of a problem than the actual actions.
I probably would agree with you in general, but I'm not, that's what the world is. I may not agree with it, but that's what people do.
Look, I'll say this, and we can move on. I'll say this is that if your response to a situation with your child is to lie to your child or to sugarcoat the truth and paint it as something else, you're doing that child, my belief is you're doing that child a disservice, right? All of this, and I think that's part of what's wrong with society, not society as a whole, but what can be wrong with, like when people talk about millennials and the generation after us, whatever generation that is, Z or some shit like that, is that, right, the perception is that everything is all good online. Nobody posts anything negative. Nobody ever goes through anything, right? So when a kid is only subjected to like happy pictures of other people's families and all that, right? When they see mommy and daddy just having a tiff at the house, right? That gap is what they feel. They feel the delta. It's kind of like temperature. You know what I'm saying? People, and this might be another analogy, but like you get in the ocean, the first time you get in there walking up to it, it's always cold, right? Then eventually after you stay in for 10 minutes, it's not cold. It's like, oh, this actually feels good, whatever. Then you get out and you walk around on the beach and it's actually cold because the wind is there, right? And the wind is making you feel colder than what you really are. Then you get back in the ocean and what's the water then? It's warm. It's actually favorable. All those that you're experiencing, and this is from an engineering standpoint, you're feeling the deltas in the temperature. You're not feeling what the temperature is. You're feeling the change. If you go from 90 to 90, 95, that's not that big of a change, so it feels good to you. But if you go from 60 to 90, oh, that's scalding hot, right? So tie that back into the environment is that right now we're only exposed to almost extreme positivity all the time. Everybody's household is happy. Everybody has everything they need, blah, 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 right? So then when you have something that might not even be a negative experience, it's normal. Mommy and daddy disagreed. The gap is so wide because you've never seen a family have a healthy disagreement that 90 to 99 feels like 0 to 100 because you've never experienced the full spectrum. So I say all that to say is that if she out there creeping and he brings that up, then, I mean, there's a healthy way to have that conversation. Yeah. There's a healthy way to have that. Now, I don't think that you need to go slandering your significant other and putting it out there, and being messy about it and all that. But there's emotions. There's emotions and valid emotions and experiences that come into play. But we don't have these conversations because we always downplay kids and teenagers and they won't understand and they won't do this shit. And then they go, that's just me, bro.
But I and listen to what you're saying. Like you're taking into account that those situations aren't happening. Like that mom and dad can't have a disagreement in the house and it be okay. Like that happens. That's part of a relationship. That's part of being a family.
So if it's part, why don't we show that? Is what I'm saying.
I think the difference is that stays in house. It doesn't go on Twitter to the world.
So I hear what you're saying, and that ties into my point. And my point is that we don't portray real life. We portray one aspect of life, which is only the positive side. So yes, this is really happening, but when I get online and I don't see anybody else doing it, it feels like it's just me. So we have to stop normalizing this only it's like we put in audio engineering world or whatever, they call it like these like high pass, low pass filters, right? Only certain frequencies can get through. Only certain things. That's what social media has become. Unless you're on Facebook and you got like ratchet friends, and then you get you get everything. You get the full spectrum. You see when people cheating, when people not cheating, people fucking. Yes. You see it all on Facebook. On Instagram, it's all happiness. It's all positivity, man.
But I don't know. I don't equate that. Like, real life isn't Twitter and IG. Real life is real life.
To you. You grew up having to go outside.
I mean, that nigga's older than me, man.
But we're not talking about them. You gotta, this is what I mean when I say like he's a genius at marketing. Is that like look at Khaled. Take it away from Kanye. Look at Khaled. Khaled don't sell all these records because he's marketing to you and me. Right? You not following Khaled on Snapchat. You don't give a fuck.
Yes.
He recognized where the young generation, where the next wave of buyers and consumers are at, and he's meeting them where they are. He's not meeting us. You're watching fucking MSNBC, ESPN, and Fox News or whatever to get your information. There's nothing wrong with watching Fox.
I mean, I do not watch Fox too often, but every once in a while when I want to get a chuckle.
See, even that is like I don't even get why that's a bad thing. If I'm at war with somebody, why would I not tune into them to see what they're thinking about me and the attitude and the climate they have towards my people? I'm informing myself. There's nothing wrong with that. But my point is that these guys are masterful marketers and they are operating, albeit it seems like it's at a very surface level and it seems very genuine. These guys have boardrooms of people that are telling them and advising them, hey, you should do more on social media, on Snapchat and this, because you really resonate with the crowd on Snapchat of 12 to 14-year-olds or something like that. Kanye not stupid. Trump not stupid. There's a reason why Trump is tweeting. Why is Trump tweeting? My grandmother's not tweeting.
I don't know, man.
I
think you know, we would hope that to be the case. I just feel like that. Anything else?
I just think, man, I think there's more thought going behind some of the things that we think are just riffs.
Well, again, like I said, we would hope that to be the case.
All right.
I think that's fair. If you find out there's no thought behind it, would that change it?
Like I said, everything negotiable. I'm open to all that shit. But I just don't think that somebody put $1 billion behind somebody and sign millions of dollars of deal to somebody that's a loose cannon that has no control. I don't think
we would
that
like
to be
think that. We would like to think that. Are we privy to all those conversations?
Yeah. But
I bring what you said. You just brought that up. Are we privy to all that? Are we privy to what's in the document?
Well, I didn't say that on air, but yeah. All right, I get what you're tying that to. All right. Well.
And anyway, baby, this past week or so. I guess technically over the last 3 weeks or so. Trump has been sending out federal troops in basically unmarked uniforms and cars across the country. Started probably about a month ago when he gassed the protesters out front of the White House so he could walk across the street to the church. I guess it had been vandalized the night before, and he wanted to have a photo op in front of it with the Bible, and so he had
might have been months ago.
Had to be it was about a month ago. They had to clear out the circle or the square, which had both protesters and reporters. Mm-hmm. And since then, I guess over the last week they've since then he's threatened to do more of that. And over the last week or so, they sent it to Portland, and there have been reports of unidentified troops or federal troops that pull people into unmarked cars, vans, and people not knowing where they're going, being more aggressive. The why behind it is that they're said to be protecting federal buildings, but at the same time, these usually when federal troops or guards or whatnot are sent, federal personnel is sent to these cities is because they've been requested. And at this case, in this particular instance, none of these cities have been requesting them, and they are particularly sending them to democratically leaning or democratically led cities. And he's been trying to have this law and order president kind of view or persona over the last, 3 or 4 months. And I just think it's a dangerous, precedent that he's, setting here. primarily because these tactics, with basically secret police, is essentially what they are. Being that you can't identify them, they're in unmarked cars. These are the type of tactics that regimes around the world over my entire life that we called out for these type of tactics. And here we are in 2020 pulling these tactics. And he's threatened to do it more. Like he's said the next couple cities he's going to go to, or a few cities he's going to go to, is Seattle, Albuquerque, and Chicago. So he's expanding this. And like I said, I just feel
Albuquerque.
That was kind of out of nowhere for me as well. But apparently they've been having some issues.
Only one person ever went to Albuquerque. That was Bugs Bunny. That nigga always made the wrong turn there. All right, shout out to Albuquerque. I'm just fucking.
Yes.
I just, again, like I said, bro, I just feel like I wanted to just touch on it just because I feel like this, it's a dangerous precedent as far as, again, it's one thing to send them out there in their marked cars, marked uniforms, and you can see like, oh, ICE got them. Oh, Border Patrol, that's who got them. So we know kind of where to start if we're trying to go, get our friend out. If we got to bail them out, or just to know if let's say for instance, family members want to know what happened. Like, but at this case, in these instances, it's basically armed thugs in fatigues just picked up my friend and basically, accosted him or her and threw him in the car and drove off. You know what I'm saying? Like, that literally sounds eerie like what we used to talk about Iran. You know what I'm saying? What happened in Iran and
body snatchers.
China. It's happening here. Now, granted, I don't believe these people are going missing forever, but it's still a scary situation in that moment.
But and what to me struck me as even more inappropriate, I guess, about some of these situations are like the audio clips that I've been, or the audio attached to the videos that I've been seeing. So not only are these guys like you're saying, grabbing people up, throwing them in unmarked cars and taking them off, but they're threatening the citizens who, like the bystanders, who are just like protesters basically, who are recording. They're like, if you follow us, we will shoot you. And it's like, my nigga, you just took, somebody into custody for protesting. We don't know the reason. We don't know if they were like targeting these people or whatever. Like, we don't know who you are.
They even said they were being proactive. They were proactively arresting people.
Yeah. So it's like, but we don't know who you are. And then, so if we're in fear of like another person's life, and we follow you just to make sure that, like, hey, you do drop them off at a precinct or something like that, and we can eventually get them, bail them out after they've been booked and everything. We're threatened that with violence, that if we're just following and recording, like, so it draws I agree with you, a very bad precedent is being set here with how to contain citizens. And then, in pre-production, we were talking, I tied it to like, the 2A, the Second Amendment rights to bear arms. But it just, it's like the 2A was written almost, I want to say almost exclusively or targeting like oppressive regimes and tyrannical governments and stuff like that. And to me, it just, it's, one makes me like cautious or wary of like where things are going, because again, a lot of topics, we're touching on are all marketing, and it's controlling the narrative. And this I don't see as any different. Is that, okay, well, let's paint the guys who are actually infringing on people's rights as like these white knights, if you will, these saviors, and anybody acting against them as being, villainous or, like thugs or criminals in this instance, where to me it's just like they're kind of setting themselves up, or it seems like they're kind of setting themselves up. It's like a volley almost, to where if somebody does act out against them, like they're giving somebody a reason to take a violent stance against them, right? Because you just hopped out of a car, just grabbed somebody, strong-armed them, you got weapons drawn and stuff like that. You're giving me every reason to take up a violent stance against you. And then what happens with the media after that, who knows, right? The media's going to paint, oh, this person was an armed protester. And, you know how the media rolls out depending on how you look or whatever. They paint you as a certain way, even though you may have been fully justified in your actions. And the best example I can draw to with that is the Breonna Taylor instance, where how you kick in my door shooting, I fire one bullet back, and then now I'm facing charges.
And you don't announce yourself.
Yeah, you in the wrong place. You fire bullets. You hit and kill.
You didn't say you was police.
And I shoot one bullet back, and now I'm leaving here in cuffs. And it's just you're just being charged with assault with a deadly weapon against a law enforcement officer and all this shit. And it's just like they're straddling this line that I don't like with two-way where. It's like it exists for a reason, and this is a reason why it exists. This is the very reason. It's not, I hear people joke about like 2A exists because the First Amendment is, right to free speech. So you're allowed to say whatever the hell you want to say. It's fitting. I think somebody's got a joke about that. It might have been Dave Chappelle too, where it's like it's befitting that the Second Amendment is that, you can have a gun to protect yourself because you just said some crazy shit than the one before. But it's to protect us against a tyrannical government from oppressing the people and taking, too much power and acting outside of the realm of power which we enable them to have. And this is one of those instances where it's kind of scary with me because it's like those situations where almost like what we tied into what we were saying earlier with like, you see a dude beating up on a woman. It's like, do I step in knowing that it may go to this extent, right? I don't like situations that pit me against, like my morality and what I know to be right or wrong. It ain't right to be jumping out of unmarked cars and snatching people up, and that's why you got somebody in a headlock dragging them back in the car. 2 or 3 other people are covering with assault rifles and then threatening that if you follow us, we will shoot you. We will basically kill you if you follow us. Ain't nothing right about that situation. But if I was to shoot one of them, I'd be painted and labeled as the thug and the criminal and the villain and all that.
Exactly.
It's bullshit, man.
Well, one of the things that I found interesting about the conversation over the past week was that we thought, a lot of the smart people in this country thought that we learned that lesson in the 60s about militarizing the police and how that made us look. But here we are, 2020. Doing the same thing again. And, kind of piggybacking off, your guns rights talking in the sense that you got all these people that collect guns under the guise of the Second Amendment because of a tyrannical government. And here they are, it's happening. There's a tyrannical government, attacking citizens, and they're back there cheering it on. The majority of it.
It's like it's got to be unanimous or something like that. It's like all this shit is based off of like a unanimous, and not unanimous necessarily, but like a majority perception on something. And if the majority perception isn't in your favor, then, which, let me just say it like this. If you're black, they can find a reason to not be in your favor.
Yeah. Dude, we talk about this shit all the time. And I'm not going to get off the subject too much, but when shit happens with a black woman, with a black woman or a black person, they always bring up whatever if they had any schedules in their closet, even if it was when they were 15 and now these people are in their 40s, they bring it up. Well, he did get arrested for marijuana possession, when he was 15.
Yeah, and they try to paint you and label you as, all these
crazy, like we just said.
I thought we disagreed on that topic, but glad to see you come around. But yeah.
Well, yeah. I don't feel like I think I corrected that. Maybe we'll find out. I thought, in that talk, while I was saying, I was like, I caught myself and was like, we don't want to say that about people. And then, but maybe I didn't. We'll see though.
You hit them with the entanglements, man. Remember, unhinged.
Yeah.
You said unhinged.
But that, hey.
I'm with you.
I'm trying, baby. I'm trying.
But I guess all that to say is that, I think we can both agree that the government's overstepping itself in this regards, especially by invading And they are invading because, like you said, no cities have asked for this support. Chicago is next, and it's like they're just, it makes me believe that there's something motivating this.
It's
these
optics.
targets.
Optics, law and order.
Yeah, there's some external motivations there that we're not privy to, and all I can say is just, if you're out there protesting, and, which you have a right to protest, right?
Yes.
Just be safe and be smart, and watch Taken with Liam Neeson, and like if you see a friend get taken, that scene where he was like, hey, just shout out everything you can see. You know what I'm saying? What size shoe? What they wearing? Tattoos, piercings? Like, I say this in jest, but it's like you might really need some of this shit. That might actually be a helpful scenario if somebody just hopping out of Chrysler Pacifica and snatching people up, and they're in plate carriers and got semi-automatic weapons or fully automatic weapons and stuff pointed at you. Like, you need to take in as much information as you can, because there ain't no telling what, how you're going to be able to get your friend back or whoever. So, and that may be extreme, but it seems like we're in extreme times. So don't label me as crazy, but it's just niggas, government out here snatching people up. I never thought I'd have to say that you need to, when unmarked, it's not like they wearing FBI jackets.
Yeah, that's the biggest, like I said, that's the biggest problem, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they're
you in the Uber.
Secret police. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have that. Flight. We don't have that shit. But at any rate, man, be safe out there. Again, you know what I'm saying? Arrest the officers that killed Breonna Taylor.
All three of them.
All three of them.
All three of them.
With that said, last but not least on the docket today, the Washington football team.
Well, you pretty much just said it all right there.
I mean, what did you think, man?
I thought that was the most anticlimactic name they could come out with, but I get why they did it. But
I think it's laziness.
That's the easy way out. But yeah,
like, that's lazy. Come up with a fucking name, bro.
They will.
I feel like
they will. That's not going to be the last name.
No, it's not. But I just feel like it sucks for their fans, because they're gonna, like, basically you signing them up for buying a shirt today, and then next year got to buy a whole nother fucking shirt.
It's gonna be worth something though. They're gonna spin it and tell you like, oh, that's gonna be a collector's item, like back on 2000 when they were the Washington Football Club or whatever the hell they're gonna call it. Yeah, it's I said football club because I'm looking at this flag and FC. But that's what it's gonna come down to. I guess I like to consider myself privy to a little bit additional information on things like this. So, would you like it, or do you want to leave the mystique out there and we just hate the Redskins organization right now? I'm with whatever, bro.
I mean,
I don't watch the NFL, bro. So if you want to just go on we hate them.
I don't usually watch the football team from Washington, so it doesn't even really bother me. They haven't been good for a while.
So would you like the additional information that's going to take the sting off of this, the stank off of this?
Go ahead.
All right, so
we're here to educate the people.
So all these organizations, these large organizations, they don't just like. There's not like a 24-hour turnaround on like design and branding. That's not how it works. So they have to hire another agency to handle their branding and all of that. And more than likely, another agency is not going to be able to give you a 24-hour, or because it wasn't 24-hour, but it was like a week turnaround to encompass the risk associated with if they get something wrong. So, for instance, right now, Redskins has been deemed, for some time, has been deemed the inappropriate name or label or title, right? Mm-hmm. So, let's think about all the items that are affiliated with Redskins. That has basically anything that has Redskins on it right now. You got promotional items. You got digital items such as websites, apps. You got ESPN, like we're not even affiliated technically with the team, but you got to think everything that they have as far as like presentation, broadcasting and all that, all the effects and graphics that come in, right? That's got to change now. All this stuff has to change, right? So it's not just the organization. It's anybody that has any type of tie to that organization, which brings in a revenue stream. All that's got to be changed now. So what they do is they go off and they hire a design brand that says, hey, we're in a bit of a pickle, you know. We're between a rock and a racist place. And we need a new mascot or brand. We need to rebrand this organization. We announced to the world that we would have this done by Monday for some reason. What can you do to help us? No, and they're not going to go to like somebody like me and say like, hey, here's a blank check, cover this, because there are damages that you have to cover with your design. And those damages include everything that we're seeing right now. All these jerseys, everything that we have to recoup and take off of the shelves, that's worth, how much is that worth? How much, right? I can't cover that. They tell me, hey, we got 50 million jerseys in inventory out there that hold a $50 price tag, right? We're talking $250 million or whatever that math works out to, right? I can't cover that type of damages. So they have to go to a large firm that has these large insurance, backings and these large, like, pots of just kind of cash sitting there that if something like this does happen, they can kind of go back and pay out on the damages side of things. That's what I think we're seeing right now. I think they can have a firm that's been contracted to rebrand the organization, but the scale, what's this team worth? Like, do we know that off the top? A couple billion?
Yeah.
Like, so you're going to need a large firm that can cover a couple $1 billion in damages in case whatever they come out with, for whatever reason, tanks. And I guarantee you it more than likely won't tank as bad as the Redskins did, but it's got to be something that, like, can resonate with the people. That what I personally think is that it's going to have some kind of tie to the current Redskins. Like, I keep saying Redskins, but like branding and the logo and all that. I think they're still going to try to find something that doesn't completely just drop that. I think they're going to kind of keep it and find another name where they can use the same logo, because then you're mitigating these losses, right? If you use the same logo but the name is different, right? Almost like you can't use Chiefs because obviously Kansas City got the Chiefs, but something to that nature, right? Same logo, Washington Chiefs. Boom, it's not offensive. The logo's the same, except the jerseys don't really say, they might say Redskins on them, but usually NFL jerseys are a little bit more discreet. Big numbers, big name on the back, and then you get like some graphics, right? Yeah. It's not overly branded like Washington Bullets, all right? You don't want bullets on the shit no more. It's on every jersey, right? It's not a pictorial kind of thing. It's literally words in the NBA. NFL, I don't.
At least at home. I think on the road is the name of the city.
Yeah, and they've changed. And what I'm saying that, and that's kind of even a dated concept, because now you get all these alternative jerseys where Oakland says like the city or something like that. It's very unique and specific designs. So that's what I think is going on with them right now. So they announced, the Washington football team, and it's like, I think it's like that's just a placekeeper for the time being. I guarantee I'd say within the next year, definitely by next season, they'll probably announce.
Probably in the spring.
Yeah. They'll probably announce a formal football, brand, a new brand for that organization. But
I did like the Red Tails. I was hearing that go around, but then again,
tying in with like the Tuskegee.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it would be, again, but you can even see there how it's still playing off like the red and all that, and trying to tie in with that brand.
Because like basically what they were saying was they wanted to kind of, so apparently the Redskins tied to the military and in a poor way, but they want to keep it in a military driven name. So that in that instance, the Red Tails be pretty dope to me at least, but I doubt it.
But what does right-wing America got to say about that?
Yes.
Ain't gonna be like.
I mean, you'd be supporting the flag.
Yeah,
But you'd also be supporting the.
You'd be supporting the blacks.
So it'll be interesting, but
I think. But at the same time, I think it also was a bit of because there was a few weeks. I think it was about 2-3 weeks where they were working on it, but like
it's still not enough time.
Halfway through it, I think also having to deal with all the announcement of all the sexual harassment that went on also was like,
Yeah, they're dealing with a lot.
Double, bang, bang. Like,
they're dealing with a lot.
I gotta deal with the damn Redskin name. Now I gotta deal with this shit.
And it's not like they brought about the change to the Redskin name either, right? No. That came as a just partners, saying like
owners even the partner from the federal FedEx. He's also a part owner.
Okay, so there you go. It's like it's tied a little bit deeper. It's not like they brought about the change, but it had to hit them kind of, albeit an internal, force, if you will. But it took that to happen to them. So they're on their back foot, a little bit.
Yeah, they're backpedaling.
Yeah. So they're on their. I was using more a boxing term, but they're on their back foot. They're fighting defensively right now, and they're trying to, but they want to make the best use of their funds and stuff. And I think it's smart. You don't want to just jump out there and come out and, you gotta. That's the thing with branding and all this shit, man. And that's to tie it back to Kanye, but not to delve back into that conversation, is that there's so much money going behind some of these ventures that nobody's just going to take it and say okay, yeah, well, take a couple pictures with your iPhone and then tweet it, and then that's what we're going to launch with. These people done did focus groups, A/B testing. They done did it. They know what you and I like. They know how it's going to oh, well, Ivy probably will like it. Jacory might not like it. You know what I'm saying? Or both these guys will like it, but the third person is not going to like it. We only got a 66%, penetration rate. They know that, and they go into these things knowing that we're going to penetrate this much here. And also the thing with Kanye that I to tie into is that with black people we got to be willing to accept is that he's not considering the black consumer no more. He's just not. Yeezy, we not wearing Yeezys. He's mainstream now. He doesn't.
Black people do wear Yeezys. I don't. But
I'm not saying we don't, but I'm saying there went a time where his main consumer was the black consumer. I think I don't want to say transcended because that sounds like he's leveled up from the black consumer, but he took black style and black art and recognized that there's a larger consumer market for it. Yeah. And now he's catering to the larger consumer market. Still using our culture and our products and so that lets you know
Are you calling Kanye a culture vulture?
If that's what it means. I think he's of the culture though, but I just think that it's from a business perspective, it's the smarter thing to do. But if you start talking morality and tying it back to damn, bro, you kind of selling out or whatever to get a bigger bag, then that's a different argument. Yeah, he's sold his soul, metaphorically speaking, right? You got to go against kind of your people and cater to this other larger group because the payout is larger there. Didn't you said that kind of earlier too? We were talking of his Gap deal, and without again bringing up a whole new topic, you made a comment that well, if they buy him out of his deal because he's being crazy, right? That doesn't.
I don't think I said crazy.
All right, well,
yes. I'm just fucking with you, man.
you didn't say crazy, so I'm sorry. I don't want to use that and paint that.
But I just.
But you were saying.
I was more or less laughing that you were saying crazy.
Yeah. But you did say it, so on record I can say that. But you were saying that if his deal gets terminated prematurely, that he won't make the potential earnings that he could make if he stayed in the deal or whatever. And that's the truth. But the same could be said that if he was to stay in the black community, right, catering to we're only 13% of the population. So if we do the math, 400,000, 13 for every 400 million people, I'm rounding up. So 13 million for every 100. So you're talking 50 million people versus 300 million. It's this to that, right? And if he set his sights here, then cool. From a business perspective, cool. Do you?
I think they're 180, but yeah, 200, 180, 200.
I don't know what math I gave him, but it's still a bigger number by 4x, 5x, right? So it is what it is. From a business perspective, I understand it. But I also understand that, like, okay, you're going to be perceived as this. How are you going to navigate that? So that's the interesting part for Kanye and for the Redskins, is that you can't completely abandon your consumer, right? You can't completely abandon the Washington, diehard. Yeah, I know people with the Redskins tattoo, right? They have like almost I don't want to say cult-like following because it's not that extreme, but they have diehard fans that believe and like they tat this brand on them. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that they can completely abandon that. Same way Kanye can't completely abandon the black consumer. He's hanging on by a thread at this point, but he can't completely abandon them because he needs black influencers. He needs like the culture to validate his products to then, because once it's validated in-house, once we approve that something is dope, then the other people catch on. Yeah. We set the standard of what quality and what is fashionable and stylish.
Yeah, we set the culture.
And then the other people come in and hike the price up is all that happens. Yeah. So that's what he's doing. And that's what the Redskins got to do.
Okay. What? Anything else?
Shout out to the Washington Red Tails.
I found it interesting that similar topic, but Edmonton in CFL, I guess changing their name from the Eskimos. I didn't realize that was
my line brother used to play for them.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that was a derogatory
Eskimo,
term. But
yep,
that's interesting. Don't be a square. Hit the share, like, love, thumbs up. Subscribe, notification button on
favorite. DM us, man. Holla at us.
That too. On all our social media platforms. On Facebook, man. YouTube, and SoundCloud under Hot Takes and Half Truth Podcast. IG and Twitter under HT Square Pod. And if you're truly new school, old school, you can email us at htsquarepod@gmail.com. Email us any questions, show ideas, topics you want to hear from us about. Feel free to drop us a line, man. You can reach me directly at I am Ivy Joe. That's Joe, J-E-U-X.
Yeah, you can reach me at Just Kingin, JustKingin on IG and Twitter. Fuck with me on Twitter, man. I like engaging with people on Twitter. I like the conversation more than posting pictures because I ain't doing shit. So we all just sitting at the house right now. So nothing impressive to show there. But holla at us, man.
Yes, sir. And just like that, we're done. We try to do better next time. From the two of us to all of you, talk to you next time.
Hey, shake your locks. Shake your wicks. I got a little lip. I'm getting there.